I'd sunk $9,400 into a family trip to Japan for Dad's 60th birthday when my phone pinged with a message. "We swapped you out for Kevin's girlfriend. She's more lively." My response was curt. "Understood." That same evening, I obliterated the entire plan. Flights, hotels, reservations, all of it gone. When they got back, the locks on the house were new, the rent had skyrocketed, and their cards were useless at the local cafe. That was just the start. I glared at the text on my screen, the blinking dots mocking me, hinting at more betrayal lurking beneath. The message came from my mother. Brief, nonchalant, as if she hadn't just shredded 3 months of my effort and $9,400 of my savings. "We swapped you out for Kevin's girlfriend. She's more lively." No remorse, no reasoning, just a smug jab in digital form. My reply was equally brief. "Understood." Then I did something they never saw coming. I canceled the whole trip. Every flight, every hotel, every meticulously planned detail. Non-refundable? Didn't matter. I'd funded it, so I'd end it. That night, I also changed the locks on the family home. It was in my name, after all. They'd been living there rent-free for 5 years, smirking behind my back. Now it was my turn to smirk. Let's backtrack. Let me explain how I reached the point where I could dismantle a family vacation, triple the rent on my parents, and cut off my golden child brother like a weed I should have uprooted long ago. It all began with one foolish notion: being the dutiful son. Dad was turning 60, a big deal. I thought, what better way to mark it than a family trip to Japan? He'd always rambled about Kyoto's cherry blossoms before his joints gave out. Mom worshipped sushi like it was sacred. Kevin, my younger brother, claimed he craved authentic ramen, not the instant packets from his college days. So I did what everyone warned against. I footed the bill. $9,400 plus $100 in extras. Flights, hotels, bullet train tickets, even dinner reservations. I handled it all. I juggled my work schedule, spent weekends mapping out hotel locations near temples and markets, comparing prices for activities. I even upgraded their seats to premium economy. For myself, a cheap flight and a tiny room in Osaka. I didn't need extravagance. I thought this was what family meant. But Kevin always reminded me of my place in the family hierarchy. Not the favorite, not the exciting one, just the one who pays. When I read that text, "We swapped you out for Kevin's girlfriend. She's more lively." It wasn't shock that hit me, it was clarity. And clarity in the hands of someone who's been exploited too long is a dangerous thing. They always assumed I'd stay silent. Until I didn't. It started with guilt. That's how they reel you in. Not with love, not even duty. But guilt. My parents never outright demanded I pay for things. They were slyer. Kevin's trying. But it's tough for young people these days. "You're so fortunate to have a steady job." Or, "We're so proud of you." If only Kevin had your ambition. At first, I helped willingly. Kevin was my little brother. I thought covering his college tuition, books, even a new laptop when his crashed right before exams was the right thing. But help turned into expectation fast. 3 months after graduating, Kevin hadn't even sent out a resume. "Still figuring it out," he'd say, sprawled on my couch playing video games. I'd drag myself home after a 12-hour workday to find him eating delivery food, paid for by me, in a house I owned. Mom would chime in, "He just needs time. Don't push him." "Dad?" He'd barely glance up from his tablet. "Let him live," he'd grumble, as if I were the issue. It escalated when Kevin got a girlfriend. Maddie, she insisted, moved in 2 months after they started dating. No rent, no conversation, just there. She took over my kitchen, my streaming accounts, my internet. One evening, I caught her filming a social media video in my loafers. "It's for a skit," she said, winking. "Chill out," Kevin laughed. "Relax, bro. She's hilarious. Hilarious." That word would stick with me. Still, I stayed quiet, kept paying, because family, because what would Dad think if we clashed, because you can afford it. When Kevin lost the job I'd helped him land, showing up late 3 times in a week, I paid his car loan to save his credit. When Madison wrecked her old car, I co-signed a used SUV in my name. Stupid, I know. And when they announced they wanted in on Dad's birthday trip, I didn't hesitate. I reworked the plans, added rooms, shifted my vacation days, all for them. And what did I get? "We swapped you out for Kevin's girlfriend. She's more lively." It wasn't just an insult, it was a wake-up call. It confirmed what I'd always suspected. To my family, I wasn't cherished or valued. I was useful. A bank account with a pulse, and the worst part? I'd allowed it, but they weren't finished. The morning after they arrived in Tokyo, Kevin texted, "Yo, can you send some cash?" Maddie forgot her card, and Dad says the exchange rates suck. I didn't reply. An hour later. "Don't be bitter, man. This is about Dad, not you." I nearly smashed my phone. They'd taken my spot, my trip, my moment, and still wanted more. but I stayed silent. Let them have their fun. Let them post their curated photos of family bonding while I sat in an empty house, seething with a fury I could barely articulate. Then, on day 5, the hotel called. Mr. Carter, the card on file for the group booking was declined. There's also an issue with an unauthorized guest added to the suite, so that's how they did it. They'd replaced me with Madison without notifying the hotel, using my card to cover her stay, assuming I'd never notice. That was the moment. Not the betrayal, not the money, but their belief I'd just take it. I logged into my bank, flagged the charges, froze the card. Then I called the hotel back, cancel the reservation, remove all guests, alert security if anyone contests it. They're not authorized. The manager hesitated. Sir, they're still in the rooms. I know, I said. They can figure out their own way back. When they returned, everything was different. I was in the kitchen stirring coffee when I heard their car doors slam. Voices followed, frantic, loud, Mom's shrill complaints, Kevin's shouting, Madison's piercing tone cutting through. I didn't hurry. I sipped my coffee and waited. Then the pounding started. Bang! 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 Open the door, Kevin's voice. We know you're in there. I strolled to the entrance, coffee in hand, and peeked through the peephole. There they stood, flushed and disheveled, luggage piled on the porch. Madison was inexplicably barefoot. I secured the deadbolt, cracked the door just enough to meet their eyes. What's wrong with our keys? Kevin barked. I sipped my coffee. Oh, the ones I had changed? They don't work anymore. You're kidding, he snapped. Dead serious, I replied, calm. Mom shoved past him. We just flew 14 hours. We're tired, hungry. You're trespassing, I said. This is my property. Madison scoffed. You're locking out your own family? I stared at her, maybe a second too long. You're not my family, I said flatly. Her jaw dropped. Kevin's eyes widened. This is messed up. We were stranded in Osaka. No money, no hotel, no internet. You have no idea what that was like. Must have been rough, I said. Imagine being stuck abroad on someone else's dime. Oh, wait. That's what you did. Kevin's face reddened. You embarrassed us. Canceled everything. We couldn't even get a ride to the airport. The cards were frozen. Yeah, I said, crossing my arms. That's what happens when you commit fraud. Mom gasped. Fraud? Don't be ridiculous. I held up my phone showing an email from the hotel manager. Unauthorized guest. Disputed charges. Kevin, did you add Madison to the suite under my name? He stammered, glanced at Madison. She shrugged. I stepped aside, letting them see the house, or what was left of it. The sofa? Gone. Dining table? Gone. All the furniture they'd lounged on like they owned it? Donated. The walls were empty. I'd cleared out their traces. You gutted the house? Mom whispered. My house, I corrected. Kevin clenched his fists. We lived here for years. Without paying rent, I said. Without contributing. Without respect. Mom's face twisted. We're your family. This is cruel. I let out a sharp laugh. Cruel? You stole my trip, used my card, kicked me out of Dad's birthday because I wasn't lively enough. Do you even hear yourselves? Madison rolled her eyes. You're just mad we had fun without you. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me. You think this is about Japan? I asked, voice low. This is about every time I gave up something for you. Every dollar I spent. Every moment I let you live here rent-free while you mocked me. We didn't, Mom started. You did, I cut in. All of you. And I'm done. Kevin shook his head. So we're homeless now? No, I said. You've got 2 weeks. Rent's tripled, utilities are on you, and the guest suite's locked. Stay, you pay. Madison scoffed. You can't evict us. I pulled a lease agreement from my pocket. Actually, I can. It's legal. Done. And your cards? Declined at the cafe this morning. I got the alert. Silence fell like a hammer. I turned to go inside. Kevin grabbed my arm. Wait, please, he said, voice breaking. You don't get it. I've got nowhere else. Madison thought the trip would bring us closer to the family. She didn't mean to hurt you. Madison started to protest, but stopped. Kevin was crying. I looked at him, really looked, and felt nothing. No sympathy, no anger, just a hollow calm. You were my brother, I said, and you traded me for amusement. That's not family. That's a game show. I walked inside, locked the door, and left them standing in the cold. They returned to a world without me. 3 days after their return, the real chaos kicked in. The first morning was eerily quiet. I expected yelling, accusations, maybe a flood of texts in the family chat. Nothing. I ate breakfast alone, coffee, a bagel, and a strange, deep calm. It was a silence I hadn't known in years, not just in the air, but in my bones. By day 4, my phone buzzed. Can we talk? Mom, I'm sorry for what happened. We all messed up. Please don't do this to your father. I didn't reply. For the first time, I owed them no explanation. Then the fallout hit. Cards declined. Madison tried to buy coffee downtown, rejected twice. I got the notification and grinned. She posted a vague story. Some people are just spiteful, and deleted it minutes later. The rent, now tripled, came due a week later. An email arrived. We're struggling with the new rate. Can we discuss options? Unsigned from the family account. Ignored. Jobs? Kevin, who'd coasted for years in my home without a real job, started picking up shifts. A buddy at the gym said he was wiping down equipment at the front desk. I felt no pity. I moved into a sleek downtown loft, polished floors, high windows, bare essentials. No family clutter, no borrowed shoes, no leftovers I didn't eat. I woke at 7 a.m., hit the gym, worked remotely, strolled at dusk. Every moment, every cent, every breath was mine. No texts begging for grocery money, no sob stories about just until next week, no calls from mom saying, "It's your brother, how can you refuse?" Just peace. In week 2, Kevin texted. I screwed up. I get it. Maddie's gone. She said this wasn't what she signed up for. You were right. I stared at the message. This was the same Kevin who mocked my seriousness, who said I didn't know how to have fun. Now he was alone, ditched by his lively girlfriend, facing reality without his human ATM. I didn't respond. Then came the legal threat. A letter from a lawyer claiming my parents had partial ownership of the house based on alleged contributions over the years. My attorney laughed. They've provided no proof. I did too. Not because it was funny, but because it was so predictable. They always thought my things were theirs. Mom's old line echoed, "This is a family home, sweetheart. What's yours is ours." But now, ours meant nothing. Mom texted again. "We didn't raise you to be this way." "What would your father say?" I replied. "You raised me to be your servant. That's over." What surprised me wasn't their anger. It was how quickly they unraveled without me. Kevin was pulling 10-hour shifts, scraping to pay bills. Mom started calling old friends she used to mock for having disloyal kids. Dad? Silent, as always. He'd been quiet through every argument, every betrayal. His loyalty was to staying out of it. And now they were living in the world they'd made, one where I wasn't there to clean up their messes. As for me, I sat in my new loft, on a new chair, sipping coffee no one complained about, surrounded by things I chose. For the first time, I wasn't being drained. For the first time, I had no duty to people who never showed up for me. And for the first time, I wasn't angry. I was free. 3 months later, the free ride was over. No more rent-free living, no more brotherly handouts, no more pretending family meant love instead of leverage. I expected guilt, or sorrow, or loneliness. Instead, I found peace. I woke without dread, without bracing for the next demand or manipulation dressed as a favor. My phone buzzed, and I didn't flinch. Last week, I found an old box while settling into the loft. Inside were photos, birthday cards, a folder labeled family records. I opened it. Old plane tickets, receipts from trips I'd paid for, hotel bookings in my name. It hit me. Every family memory was tied to my wallet. They called me cold, but I was the one keeping the heat on. I flipped through photos. In each, I was smiling, giving, paying, organizing. The others? Relaxed, carefree, like tourists in a life I funded. I used to think that made me vital. Now I saw it made me invisible. They didn't love me, they loved what I provided. When I stopped providing, they stopped caring. Kevin hasn't texted since Madison left. A friend mentioned he's in a basement apartment delivering packages. I didn't feel smug, just nothing. His life is his now, not mine. Madison wiped her social media, erased our photos, unfollowed everyone. Her liveliness vanished when the free ride did. Mom sent one last message. "We miss the old you," I replied. "You miss the version of me who never said no. He's gone." Dad? Silent as always. His quiet complicity was worse than any fight. Polite, but devastating. I stopped waiting for their apologies. I gave myself closure. One night I sat alone. No noise, no phone, just a glass of whiskey and the city lights outside. The silence wasn't hollow. It was mine. I wrote a note and stuck it on my mirror. I owe myself more than I owe them. I read it every morning like a vow. They call me distant now. They say I've changed. Damn right I have. I was their bridge. Now I'm an ocean they can't navigate. A few days ago, Kevin's ex Lisa messaged me. We rarely talked when they dated, but she was always decent. "You saw through their nonsense," she wrote. "They treated you terribly. I'm glad you walked away. You saved yourself." It hit harder than expected, reminding me I wasn't crazy, just the first to wake up. I used to think leaving was selfish. Now I know it's survival. They taught me love meant sacrifice, but only my sacrifice. They called me cruel, I call it clarity. They called me heartless, I call it healing. They called me selfish, but only when I stopped being theirs. Now, I don't hate them. I don't wish them harm. I just don't owe them anything. And that freedom? It's like breathing fresh air after years in a storm. Next week, I'm flying to Iceland, solo. I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights, but never went. There was always someone else's crisis, someone else's trip on my dime. Not anymore. This time, it's for me. When I stand under that shimmering sky in the icy night miles from everything I used to carry, I'll say it aloud. I'm not your fallback. I'm not your fix. I'm not your bank or your fool. I'm me. And for the first time, that's enough.